Hey y'all, welcome to Amon Presents. This channel isn't about reviews or recommendations. This isn't about ratings. This is an invitation to discover unexpected connections between films. Films that speak to each other once you put them side by side. I set the mood to create a nice evening at home for cinephiles, film buffs, and movie lovers alike. Themed double features that I've curated around mood, conversation, taste, and atmosphere for your weeknights and weekends. Think of it as a prescription for those very specific nights when you want to have a movie night but don't know where to start, or you want to have a night out without having a night out. So, let's hop right in to a double feature about what happens when you become the act, themed The Performance of Self. This is a brilliantly funny pairing because you'll start to realize there's more truth to it than meets the eye. The films I selected, and I'm going to read this because whatever. The Moment, directed by Aidan Zamiri. A pop star, Charlie XCX, deals with the overwhelming pressure of her newfound fame in an upcoming arena tour with a focus on the chaotic and often absurd aspects of the music industry. Ooh. And This Is Spinal Tap, directed by Rob Reiner. May he rest. A mockumentary film that follows the fictional aging British heavy metal band Spinal Tap on a disastrous American tour, satirizing rock music culture with deadpan humor. Oh, I love that. Improvised dialogue and catchy, absurd original songs. No spoilers, just preparation. I invite you to experience these two films together because they tell the same story through a different generational lens, where performance makes you become a version of yourself you don't recognize, or a version of yourself you try to maintain out of fear of not being accepted. Let's start with This Is Spinal Tap. And it's pretty funny. But what makes it stick isn't just the comedy, it's how accurate it feels. The performances, especially from Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer, feels so specific that you almost forget that it's satire. And that's the trick. Because underneath all the jokes, this film is about ego. Needing to be seen, needing to matter, needing to believe that what you're doing is important, even when it's all falling apart. Hell, even if you're falling apart. There's something almost tender about it because you start to realize they're not ridiculous on purpose. They're just human. And honestly, in a world where everyone's curating themselves online, socially, creatively, this doesn't feel like a parody anymore. It feels like a fucking mirror. How far do you go to maintain an image? And at what point does the performance become the only version of you that people know? Huh. This is an interesting lens to go into these with, because you'll start to see and appreciate that posing and curating for social media presence is actually quite similar. And that's where the comedy lives, my dears, in truth. If This Is Spinal Tap is about performing for an audience, The Moment feels like performing for yourself. The Moment sits in a very different energy. Quieter, more internal, but just as sharp. It's about that pressure to live up to a version of yourself that never really existed or existed once, and now you're chasing it. There's something unsettling about that. Because it raises a question that we don't like to sit with. What if the best version of you was just a moment? And now you're building your life trying to get back to it. And a moment can mean anything. It could be that great job you had. It could be that great apartment you had, that great boyfriend, that great friendship. It could mean so many different things. And some people, are managed to find that in other ways, and some people it just becomes the rest of their life. I'm sorry I said it, but I'm just a YouTube channel. The film leans into perception, how you see yourself and how others see you. And that gap is where a lot of people live, trying to maintain something, trying to be something, trying not to fall out of alignment with the version of themselves that they've shown the world. The film's not loud about it. It just lingers brilliantly, I might add. These films are connected by performance, not just on stage, not just for an audience, but in life. We create versions of ourselves to be accepted, to be admired, to feel like we matter. Because sometimes we're not chasing success, we're chasing a moment where we felt like we were enough. So, let's set the mood for your night in, shall we? Let's start with a beverage. I've come up with a signature cocktail for this double feature. I call it the Turn Up to 11 Spritz. It's a little unhinged, it comes together fast, but let's face it, the best moments usually do. If you want something moodier, I have what I call the Backstage Pass. This one is warmer, smoother, and feels like post-show reflection instead of on-stage chaos. For those who fancy a mocktail, I have the Feedback Loop Fizz. It's layered, unpredictable, but it comes together into something surprisingly smooth. Kind of like both of these films. And if you want something more mellow, try what I like to call the Soft Focus. This one leans into a more gentler, reflective vibe. And to satisfy your taste buds, I have food options for both films. For This Is Spinal Tap, sliders, messy, indulgent, rockstar energy, and loaded fries. And if you're vegan, try these Greek sliders and these easy vegan cheese fries. Eat like you're backstage. I have included the recipes for the cocktails and the links to the food recipes in the description. And for the moment, dessert! Dark chocolate squares, red grapes, strawberries, and our charcuterie board, only if you're still feeling snacky. Something to nibble on for your second or third cocktail or mocktail. So now, set your mood. Dim your lights. Make it a cinematic experience. If you have a home theater set up, you already know what to do. Let the shift between films hit you. If you choose to take on this week's double feature, I want to know, do you see yourself more in the version that's performing or the version that's trying to be real? There's a difference. Most of us are somewhere in between. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I'll be there. Let's discuss. I've included where to stream or rent these films in the description. And if you made it this far, clearly you have taste, darling. You might as well like the video and subscribe, because I have more nights like this coming to you.